I'm Sophie, 28 years old. I met Mike at work when I was 24. We started dating and got married 2 years later. Along with our wedding, I quit my job to become a full-time housewife. It was a little sad leaving the workplace where we met, filled with such cherished memories. But the wonderful people there told me warmly, "You're always welcome to come back." Since Mike and I worked at the same place, I fully understand the nature of his job. During the busiest season of the year, he's exceptionally overloaded and ends up working overtime almost every day. So I always make sure that all the chores are done by the time he gets home, just so he can relax. I do everything I can to support him, like giving him massages and filling our home with the calming scent of essential oils. Sure, we have our disagreements from time to time, but overall, we were leading a pretty enjoyable life. Then, one day, my younger sister, Mia, came to visit our apartment. It was a Sunday, so my husband Mike was home. "Hey, sis! I'm here to hang out with you!" Mia's syrupy voice sounded from the intercom. I reluctantly opened the door, lightly pushing her away. "What? You didn't tell me you were coming over." "Oh, geez, you're just as cold as ever, sis. I came over because I have something important to talk about," she replied as she barged into our home. "Hey, wait! Can't we just talk at the entrance?" I called after her, but she didn't even look back as she went straight into the living room. I sighed. Ah, for goodness sake. And reluctantly headed to the living room too. As you may have guessed, I'm not very fond of my sister Mia. You might be surprised to hear that, but you'll understand why soon enough. When I reached the living room, Mia was already seated on the sofa, fiddling with her phone. "Hey, if you have something to talk about, get on with it already." Standing still. Then Mike chimed in leisurely. "Come on, she came all this way. Why don't you make her some tea?" "Just make it yourself, then." I didn't want to react out of anger, so I just snapped back at them in my head. So reluctantly, I went to make the tea. I made 3 cups of tea in the kitchen, and when I returned to the living room, for some reason, Mike was sitting next to Mia. Huh? Why is he sitting there? He usually sits next to me. As I felt something odd, I handed Mia her tea. "Thanks, sis. I'm sorry for dropping by all of a sudden," she said. "If you feel that way, then get to the point. It's Mike's day off today, after all." As I grumbled, Mia said something I hadn't expected. "I know that, which is why I came over today." What do you mean by that?" As I was about to reply, Mike abruptly cut in. "Sophie, I want a divorce." "What? Divorce? Why so sudden?" I felt as though time had stopped. I didn't understand what my beloved husband was saying. What did I just hear? Was I hearing things? Or was it a dream? Even as I frantically tried to make sense of the situation, there was no mistaking that Mike, my husband, and Mia, my biological sister, were sitting right in front of me. That's when I finally comprehended the fact that my husband was asking for a divorce. I reacted just like you would see in a comic or drama. "What did you just say?" And then, without changing his expression, Mike delivered the brutal truth. "I got your sister Mia pregnant, so I'm thinking we should divorce. Please let me go." He got Mia, my sister, pregnant? He didn't just want a divorce from me. He, a married man, had gotten my own sister pregnant. A wave of loathing anger and sadness towards Mike hit me, all at once, much later than I would have expected. Why? We agreed we would wait to have kids, didn't we? I managed to croak out, only for Mike to reply with a guilty look. "I'm sorry, but I consider her more important than you right now." Beside Mike, Mia was smirking as she watched my reaction. "How long has this been going on?" I asked. Mia answered my question. About 6 months ago? Remember when we all celebrated your birthday at our parents' house? I think that's when it started. Isn't that right?" "Ah, yes, that time." Half a year ago, I remember celebrating my birthday at my parents' house. At the time, my husband Mike and my sister Mia, who lived with my parents, were also present. We had a wonderful time together. As the birthday girl, I drank a lot and got pleasantly drunk. And then I fell asleep earlier than anyone else. They said their relationship began that day. When I was completely drunk, Mia took advantage of the situation. Initially, it seems that Mia was the one who made advances, and Mike rejected her. However, after her relentless pursuit, Mike gave in, and they began meeting regularly. Without my knowledge, they nurtured their love for these past 6 months. As a result, Mia, my sister, got pregnant with Mike's child before I did, and I am his wife. Mike chose Mia, with whom he only had a half-year relationship, over me, his wife. What? I don't understand. Why? How? Anger, misery, sadness, a mix of all these emotions turned my head into a whirlwind. However, pursuing the details would not change their relationship. The fact that Mia is pregnant and Mike wants to divorce me are all realities. While I was wrestling with my emotions, Mia snorted with laughter. Her despicable attitude infuriated me even more. Well, I do feel bad for you, sis, but hey, can't help it if I fell in love, right? Mia said. Can't help it? What are you talking about? What about this situation is unavoidable? Unable to suppress my emotions, I raised my voice. Well, it can't be helped, right? Even now, the baby in my belly is growing healthily. Can you quickly come to terms with that? Mia retorted. I don't care about that. This would not have happened if you hadn't made a move on Mike. But it's pointless. The more I say, the more miserable I feel. No matter how much I blame Mia, it doesn't change the fact that Mike chose her. Mia is pregnant with his child. He accepts that fact and has prioritized his future with Mia over me. Once I accepted that, for some reason, I had nothing left to say to Mia. Seeing this, Mia exchanged a glance with Mike and smirked. Mia, I want to talk to Mike alone. Could you leave us, please? I said in a tone colder than I'd never used before. Left alone with me, Mike looked incredibly awkward. Hey, do you really love Mia? I asked. And without making eye contact, Mike nodded slightly. Speak up! Are you considering marrying Mia because she's pregnant? Or did you plan to be with her instead of me from the beginning? I pressed Mike for a clear answer. Finally, he opened his mouth. At first, I thought it was okay as long as we didn't get caught. When she got pregnant, I thought I had to take responsibility. That's why I decided to marry her, and that means I have to divorce you. I was deeply disappointed. I thought he would have made a more solid resolve. Such a pathetic reason. My own husband. What a ridiculous man. Rather than sadness or anger, disbelief took over first. Concealing my emotions, I just said, I see, and left the room. Huh, so that's the end of my married life with Mike. It ended. Just like that. I murmured to myself in my room. It was a ridiculous and miserable marriage. I've disliked Mia for as long as I can remember, because she always took everything that was important to me. Clothes and accessories were one thing, but she even stole my boyfriends when we were growing up. Whenever I confronted her, she would fake cry and get everyone on her side. When I finally bought the bag I'd wanted for so long after working part-time, Mia used it without my permission when I wasn't home and ended up breaking it. When I asked her to compensate me, far from showing remorse, she mocked me. What are you saying? I just used it because it doesn't suit you, you know? Who cares if it's broken? That bag didn't suit you anyway. My anger peaked at my sister's words, and when I yelled at her, she ran straight to our parents. Dad! Mom! Sophie is picking on me! Mia would put on a huge crying act, and I could only sigh in disbelief. What? You're the one who used my stuff and broke it! I didn't mean to! It was so cute! So I just borrowed it. Our parents never questioned Mia's fake tears. On the contrary, they blamed me alone. As the older sister, you should be kinder to Mia. That's right, you're the older one here. Stop acting like a child. Mia grinning from a hidden corner as my parents blamed me angered me even more. My parents never listened to my side of the story, always taking Mia's side. In the end, Mia got everything done her way. That's right, she was always the one setting up a situation where I seemed like the villain. Always watching, grinning as the older sister, who made the younger one cry, was blamed. I despised Mia. As an adult, I kept my distance from Mia as much as possible. That's why, even when I was about to get married, I kept it a secret from Mia until the last minute. Yet, I never expected her to steal my husband. I'm sure she doesn't truly love my husband. Just like that, when she stole my boyfriend, she couldn't stand the fact that I was happily married. That's the kind of person my sister is. Before I could calm my emotions, Mia entered my room. "Are you done talking with Mike?" Mia grinned as usual. "Sorry, but can you please not come in without permission?" "Wow! But, well, that's that. You guys are having a divorce, right? This house and Mike. Everything is mine now. You're in the way, Sophie, so pack up your things quickly and leave." Mia brought her face even closer and said, "There's no way you could win against me, you idiot." The grin that was on her face until a moment ago was gone, replaced by a clear expression of looking down on me. After berating me to her satisfaction, Mia returned to the living room with a triumphant expression. At that moment, the black devil inside me woke up. Enough is enough. I can't take this anymore. She's nothing to me. Not even my sister anymore. She's just a wicked woman. I've put up with this for far too long. But this is the limit. I won't let things go her way. I'll ruin Mia's life. I returned to the living room and declared loudly to my husband and sister, "I'm not divorcing!" "What? What are you saying, Sophie?" "What do you mean, Sophie? Why are you saying that now?" In front of me were my husband and sister, shocked at my words, but I didn't care what they thought anymore. "Do you hear me? I'll say it again. I'm not divorcing. Do you think I would just agree to divorce because you're pregnant? You think I would just say, okay, and let it happen?" Mike widened his eyes in surprise, and Mia looked a bit flustered. "Huh? Are you stupid? There's no way I'd let things go your way." Harsh words came out one after the other. Even I was surprised. "Sophie, what are you saying? Do you understand the situation? I'm pregnant." "Pregnant? So what?" I could clearly see my sister's distress. Serves her right. "Whether you're pregnant or not, that's not my concern. I won't agree to a divorce, and if you're not satisfied, we can go to court." Court? Isn't that a bit too much?" My husband's face twisted at the mention of court, as though he was frightened by the idea. I stood my ground against my sister, who had turned pale. "Also, we're done. For me, you're no longer a sister or anything, just my husband's mistress. And, of course, I'll be demanding compensation for distress, so prepare yourself." At my declaration of cutting ties, my sister wore an expression of despair. She looked as if she had aged decades in an instant. I'd never seen her look like this before. It seems my words were hitting home. Finally, I had my revenge. It filled my heart in a strange way. I dragged my collapsed sister to the door, tossed her personal items outside, and told her, "Get out, and fast! If you linger here any longer, I'm calling the police." She gritted her teeth in frustration, hurriedly gathered her scattered belongings, and left. I then turned to my husband, who was hanging his head in defeat. "Just so you know, I'll be demanding compensation from you too." True to my words, I hired a lawyer and finished various legal procedures. After dragging out the divorce proceedings, I finally divorced my husband, once my sister had given birth. My sister and husband were elated, saying, "We can finally be together." But they're so naive. The world isn't that sweet, is it? I timed it perfectly, returning to my old job. Of course, I told the company everything that had happened. I was immediately rehired, having been a dedicated worker, while my husband, who worked at the same company, was met with disdain from everyone. Did you hear he got his sister-in-law pregnant while still married? That's disgusting. His ex-wife is the one who recently came back to work, right? I feel so bad for Sophie. Couldn't stand it if it were me. The gossip about my husband was all over the company. Of course, I made sure to spread the news everywhere I went. Feeling uncomfortable at the company, my husband voluntarily resigned a month after my return. He apparently lived in an apartment with my sister afterward, but due to financial constraints, they soon had to move into a smaller apartment. My sister didn't want to downgrade her lifestyle and cried to our parents for help. However, I had already revealed everything to our parents at the same time. Our parents, who always sided with my sister, were furious this time and declared they were cutting ties with her. How dare you sleep with your sister's husband? That's right! And to become pregnant with your sister's husband's child? How are we supposed to face the neighbors? Both our father and mother were livid. Even my sister should understand that she won't be receiving any more help from them. I may have gone too far. Am I too ruthless? But compared to what that wicked woman did to me, this is nothing. I managed to let off some steam at my parents, who always spoiled my sister, and I was able to recover the compensation for distress from both my ex-husband and sister. Now that I'm back to my old job, I have no financial worries. Now it's their turn to experience hell. They ruined my life enough. From now on, I'm going to prioritize my own happiness and live a fulfilling life.